Haris, panel pembangunan modul MQA, Encik Abdul Saman Taib dari MQA TC, Encik Kamarul Bakri Abdul Aziz from MQA, Puan Aklima Kamarudin from MQA TC, dan Puan Siti Fauzia Hassan dari MQA TC. So, selamat datang kepada semua kepada ke webinar ini. Okey, saya rasa untuk webinar ini, Dr. Suhaimi akan mengupas sedikit sebanyak mengenai MQF 2024 dari segi perubahan dan the revision. So everybody will have a better idea on what the revisions have been implemented in this MQF 2024. Terutamanya elemen-elemen baru yang diterapkan, iaitu value-based education, VBE, and education for sustainable development, or in short ESD. Okay, and dan cara-cara untuk kita semua pesara untuk mengintegrasikan elemen-elemen ni dalam 5 cluster learning outcome. Okay, so once we are clear about this, saya rasa lepas tu Dr. Suhaimi akan memilih cadangan CLO khusus yang telah disediakan oleh pihak fakulti secara rawak. Saya rasa kita tak ada masa untuk go through everything, each and every CLO. Okay, so lepas tu beliau akan memberikan komen dan maklum balas sama ada kita memenuhi keperluan ESD VBE dan cara untuk memperbaiki penambahbaikan. Okay, so sesi Q&A saya cadangkan kita buat di hujung webinar, so you can keep your questions towards the end of the webinar, or you can type in our chat box. Okay, so over to you, Dr. Suhaimi.
Thank you very much, Devagi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera dan selamat petang. Terlebih dahulu saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada pihak Unimas kerana menjemput saya untuk berkongsi sedikit ilmu dan pengalaman berkenaan dengan MQF 2024. Saya share screen saya, and Devagi, are you seeing my screen?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, all right. We are going to take about 1 hour 45 minutes or so to go through the material, and then we will spend about 15 minutes or so on the Q&A. Now, this is what we're going to do. We're going to look at how we can address the sustainability competencies in compliance to the new MQF or the updated MQF, and also the National Education Philosophy. I'm bringing both of these together, 2 important documents, which is the MQF, which is advocated under Akta MQA, and the National Education Philosophy, which is advocated under the Akta Pendidikan 1996. Now, I need to make a mention of this as a disclaimer. Since this is basically the first time I'm conducting this to a university, let me get this through first. The MQF provides principal statements, the document that we have released to the public since 2007 and then revised 2017 and again updated in 2024. MQF contains principal statements. It does not elaborate on the procedure on how to fulfill the statements. It has always been the position of MQA to respect the autonomy of the higher education providers in determining the design and delivery of curriculum to fulfill the principles advocated in the MQF or in the codes of practices. Now, this presentation constitutes personal ideas of the presenter, which is me, on how these principles can be delivered. This is not the only method, nor is it the MQF approved method. This is not the MQA punya halal chop. This is not the MQA punya halal chop. This is not the only MQA approved method. HEPs may develop their own method of design and delivery in order to comply to the requirements of the MQF Code of Practice and Program Standard. I need you to keep an open mind. When I show you examples, I need you to follow through the principles that I am following, the principles that I'm following, so that you may adopt a different approach, but you still hold to the principles, okay? Right. The chairperson, when introducing me, says that I'm going to be looking at the differences between the 2017 and 2024 document that was done on the 6th of August. I think we are now at a stage which is more important, which is to how do we translate these changes into our curriculum design and our delivery of our programs. So I would refer you to, if you look at MQA YouTube, you'll be able to see this presentation, which was held on the 6th of August. Go to MQA YouTube and you can search. I think the video is still there. And this is where I go in detail, uh, uh, the clauses that has been changed, you know, before and after, before and after. I will not be doing that in this session. In these sessions, I will just go to the clauses that has been changed and how do we translate these clauses into action in terms of our curriculum design and our curriculum delivery. Right. I have basically only three things to focus with you, which is number 3, 4, and 5. However, for the purpose of completion and continuity, I have included number 1, which is legislation and regulators in higher education, and also a little bit of background to the Malaysian qualification framework. And then we will focus on updates in MQF 2024, and how do we integrate the sustainable competencies and also what do you call this values-based education into the 5 clusters of learning outcome. Right, let us go straight into legislation and regulators in higher education. When we want to talk about legislation, we talk about the relevant acts that are in force at the moment. I would always like to start with this. In the Education Act of 1996, Education Act of 1996, in the preamble to the Act, right at the beginning, at the very beginning of the, before it goes to preliminary itself, it gives, it introduces us to the national education philosophy, which states, which reads as follows: education in Malaysia is an ongoing effort towards further developing the potential of individuals in a holistic and integrated manner, so as to produce individuals who are intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and physically balanced and harmonious, based on a firm belief in and devotion to God. Such an effort is designed to produce nation citizens who are knowledgeable and competent, who possess high moral standards, who are responsible and capable of achieving high level of personal well-being, as well as being able to contribute to the harmony and betterment of family, society, and nation at large. There are 2 sentences which are a mouthful. It's a mouthful. The first sentence states the first sentence define what is education, and the second sentence states the purpose of education. Let us focus. I will be focusing on the purpose of education later on, but this is our philosophy. I look at this philosophy as our direction. This is our compass. And then we have various legislation that are enforced, that are in force at the moment. First and foremost, of course, the University and University Colleges Act of 1971. And then we have our Education Act 1996, which replaces the Education Act of 1961. And then you have your private education, private higher education institutional act, which was also in 1996 and then amended in 2017. And then you have the National Funding Act 1997. You have the National Council of Higher Education 1996. And you got your Malaysian Qualification Agency Act, and also National Development Act 2006. And of course, University Technology Mara has got its own act. So basically, I would request that all of you who are present here, there are about, I don't know, about 166 of you. I am assuming all of you are basically academicians in your lifetime. In your lifetime as an academician, I would suggest that you should read these 3 acts: Education Act, University and University Colleges Act, and also the Malaysian Qualification Agency Act. So make it, from September of this year to September next year, you would have read these 3 acts. Once you have read these 3 acts, you would understand the role of each regulator, that is currently monitoring and regulating the higher education providers. Now, our regulators, the first regulator is basically the Ministry of Higher Education. And sometimes when they merge the two ministries, they become one, it becomes the Ministry of Education. And the Ministry of Higher Education, they produce documents such as the Malaysian Higher Education Blueprint. Recently, they produced the Framing Malaysian Higher Education 4.0. And more recent, they also produce a framework for Excel. Excel that is to guide us on how to develop curriculum that is research biased, industry based, that is community based, and also that may include personalized learning. So that is the framework. Now, the thing about the documents that are produced by the ministry, they are not mandatory. They are there for guidance, the framework, and then it is up to the university to adopt, to adapt, or if in certain cases not applicable to your particular university, you can ignore it altogether. But definitely, it is worth reading these documents in order to broaden your horizon and to see what is available, and then to perhaps adapt from the practice of one particular sector to another sector. So our first regulator, again, I say it is the Ministry of Higher Education. Then the second regulator is Malaysian Qualifications Agency. So they have been given the mandate through the MQA Act, which is Act 679, and they produce documents. And they produce documents in the sense that these documents that they produce, they are mandatory. So in other words, we have to comply to the documents that are produced by the MQA. One of them, the highest document, which is even mentioned in the Act, is basically the Malaysian Qualifications Framework, which is now in the second edition, 2024, which is the subject of what we're having this webinar for. And then we have the Code of Practice for Institutional Audit and Code of Practice for Program Accreditation, so COPA. So as far as documents issued by MQA, MQF, codes of practice, program standards, and so on. These are what we call normative documents. They contain standards that we have to comply with in order to be able to get accreditation, to get our programs accredited by the authorities. Now, the third party that comes in are the professional bodies. At present, there are about more than 20 professional bodies, and some programs that are governed by the professional bodies, for example, dentistry, medicine, architecture, engineering. So those programs, sometimes they say that, oh, we don't have to worry about MQA because we are governed by the professional bodies. That is a very, very, very wrong statement to say. If you are governed by professional bodies, it means that you are governed by Akta Pendidikan, the Education Act. You are also governed by MQA Act, and you are governed by the professional body, the respective professional body act. So you have to comply to three regulators. For undergraduate programs, for example, I am familiar with the engineering program. We are governed by the Board of Engineers, Lembaga Jurutera, and they have the program accreditation, apa dia panggil, accreditation standard for the 4-year engineering program, and also for the engineering and technician programs. And the program standards here are basically equivalent to the accreditation standard here are basically equivalent to the program standards of MQA. At the postgraduate level, you are subjected to the Ministry of Education, you are subjected to MQA. The professional body does not interfere very much with the postgraduate programs. So you are looking at your postgraduate programs, you need to adhere to, number one, the standards for master's and doctoral degree, and then you need to refer to the program standards, your respective program standards. So again, I say that there are three regulators. Number one is the Ministry of Higher Education. Number two, the Malaysian Qualifications Agency, and number three is the professional bodies, if your programs are governed by the professional body. All right. What has taken place so far? What has taken place so far is this. You remember the what I call that national education philosophy. National education philosophy, we say that education in Malaysia is an ongoing effort. Ongoing effort, basically, this is lifelong learning. And that is why you see MQA is a very strong advocate of Appel A, CQM, strong advocate of MOOCs, micro-credential, open distance learning, and so on, flexible learning, and so on. So you're looking at the national education philosophy, taking some of the keywords. The purpose of education is to, this effort is to produce Malaysian citizens who are knowledgeable, competent, and have high moral standard. Knowledgeable, competent, high moral standard. This is talking about developing industry talent with knowledge and skills of the discipline. And the Malaysian citizens should be able to live in harmony. They should be able to make themselves better, the family better, live in harmony for the betterment of family, society, and nation at large. So from these keywords here, we say that the national education philosophy is expecting the higher education providers to mold citizens with shared values and norms, working together, capitalizing on unity in diversity to create the sejahtera community. And then the statement in the second sentence also high moral standards. So this is talking about developing personality and character. So if I look at this and I look at the blue box, the green box, and the purple box here, I call these are the NEP competencies. These are the competencies advocated by the national education philosophy. So if you keep that in mind, we have the national education philosophy. The lifelong learning is applicable in all these three boxes. Lifelong learning is applicable in all these three boxes, but the major emphasis in the national education philosophy is to develop industry talent with skills, knowledge and skills of the discipline, to develop the students' ability so that they can work and interact together in the industry and society, and to build personality and character. So these are the three main focus of the NEP competencies. Right, that is the regulators and legislation. Now let us move to the background on the Malaysian qualifications framework. Now, the definition, what is the definition of national qualification framework? The national qualification framework is basically a system used to categorize qualifications based on their level of complexity and learning outcome. So that is a simple definition given by many what do you call this accreditation bodies around the world. Now, let us look at how we define this in our MQF. The first version of MQF, we define the National Qualification Framework as an instrument that develops and classifies qualifications based on the set of criteria that is agreed nationally and benchmarked with international practice, which clarifies the academic level of learning outcome and credit system. It focuses on two aspects, learning outcome and credit system. And then when the document was reviewed back in 2017, we improvised this, the original definition of National Qualification Framework as the framework provides a set of levels and descriptors covering all sectors, meaning that it covers all the sectors, whether it's the skills, TVET, or the education sector, which uses a set of levels of outcomes with the intention to bring progression and pathway together and accommodate all forms of learning. Now, flexible learning is coming in the definition given in 2017. They are related to study work context to make it applicable for academic and TVET type qualifications and purposes. And finally, in the updated version, this is the definition we give to the National Qualification Framework. The framework provides a set of levels and descriptors covering all sectors, using these levels and outcomes to integrate progressions and pathway accommodating all forms of learning. They are related to study or work context, making them applicable to both academic and TVET. So is this a tidying up of the definition given in 2017? So that is basically the definition of the qualifications, the National Qualifications Framework. Now, the MQF, the MQF is mentioned, MQF is mentioned in the Act, is mentioned in the Act here, an Act to establish MQA Act, Malaysian Qualifications Agency Act of 2007 is an act to establish the Malaysian Qualifications Agency as the national body to implement the Malaysian qualification framework, to implement the national qualification framework, to accredit higher education programs and qualifications, to supervise and regulate quality and standards of higher education providers, and to provide and maintain Malaysian qualification register, and to provide for related matters. So in other words, the MQA is established based on the Act, mandated by the Act, to implement the MQF, conduct accreditation, supervise and regulate quality and standards of higher education, and then to establish and maintain the Malaysian Qualifications Register. And the word learning outcome is also mentioned in the Act. Learning outcome means the standard to be achieved from educational skill training program or qualification as determined by the framework. So in other words, the learning outcomes, as mentioned by the Act, you are being referred to the framework, and the framework is basically the Malaysian Qualification Framework. So learning outcome as defined by Act 679 is basically tied to the MQF. So MQF, based on this, the learning outcomes are not put in the Act because it takes 30 years, 40 years before an Act is being reviewed. So by this virtue that the learning outcomes should be more dynamic, it should not be locked into the Act, it should be in the framework, and by the same virtue, the MQF should be reviewed regularly to update the learning outcomes that are required in order for our students to be relevant and current in the industry. And the framework basically focuses on two things. They focus on the learning outcome and the credit based on student learning. Yeah. Now, the MQF, again, what I have summarized is this. They contain the levels of qualifications, levels of qualifications. They also contain the learning outcomes. Now, in the updated version of 2024, the learning outcome, the 5 clusters of learning outcome now includes values-based education, a stronger emphasis on values-based education, sustainable competencies, sustainability competencies, which is based on the education for sustainable development, and then to introduce flexibility and adaptability as a skill set. And then credit system, this is to include flexible learning pathways and also harmonization of other frameworks. And finally, we have not changed the sectors. The sectors remain for the MQF, education and training. So these are the 4 areas, and these 4 areas that I've mentioned here is reproduced in the slides that I've shared with you, but on a slightly smaller font. Now, levels of qualification, sectors we have academic and TVET. At present, the TVET sector, when you talk about levels of qualification, the TVET sector goes from level 1 to level 6, but the education sector goes from level 1 to level 8. The first 3 levels are certificate, level 4 diploma, level 5 advanced diploma, 6 bachelor's, 7 master's, 8 doctoral degree. Yeah. So for each of the level, there is a minimum credit requirement imposed by the framework. And when we talk about the learning outcomes, I've mentioned just now, we have the 5 clusters of learning outcome, which has not been changed, but we have added upon this flexibility, adaptability, values-based education, and sustainability competencies. So these are the changes that we have made in the 2024 version. All right, the updates in 2024, we have the 2007 version, 2017, and this is the new version of the 2024. Now, the changes in the changes in MQF, the first version came in 2007, and then after the changes of 2007, the world was introduced to SDG in 2015. And 2016, our ASEAN brothers and sisters came up with the ASEAN Qualification Reference Framework. And then the 11th Malaysia Plan, we introduced a stronger emphasis on TVET. And then in 2016, we have the 4th Industrial Revolution. And in 2017, a new version, the second edition of MQF was published, taking into consideration these changes, IR 4.0, AQRF, and also In fact, it has taken into consideration the national education philosophy in the sense that lifelong learning became something very strong in MQF 2017. And then after 2017, we have ESD in March of 2021, Education for Sustainable Development, and then we have values-based education, and then we had COVID. COVID actually acts as a catalyst to help us to go digital, and then we are more inclined, we are more prone now, we are more receptive to flexible learning pathways, and we are more prone to alternative assessments, alternative delivery, and so on. Yeah? And I don't know whether you are aware or not, in 2026, a university in Australia will no longer highlight lectures as a main form of teaching. Yeah? No more lectures. They will probably have seminars, those kind of things. If you search, universities with no lectures, Australia 2026, you can get the article. So MQF 2024 basically take into consideration the changes that has happened in the global landscape from 2017 to 2024. And meanwhile, we have our national education philosophy, which I have introduced earlier. The national education philosophy was formulated in 1988. Until present, the philosophy remained intact. There is no revision of the philosophy, and we believe that the philosophy is still applicable as it was in 1988 till today in 2024. Now, why do we need to review the second version of MQF 2017? Since the review in 2017, there have been changes. I've mentioned these are the changes that have occurred, and then there are rapid globalization of changes are driven. The changes are driven by rapid globalization of education. There is a lot of TNE, transnational education. There is a lot of mobility and so on. Yeah. So rapid globalization of education, rising demand for lifelong learning, proliferation of digital and remote learning technologies, and growing collective realization that the framework must be more values-based and integrate global sustainability agenda. So these are the four major factors that triggered MQA to review the 2017 document. And basically, we have the document, as you know, the first document was 2007, and then the next one, it came in 2017, published in 2017. And in April of last year, MQA established a working committee to work on the review of this edition, the 2017 edition. And as a result of that, on the 6th of August this year, we have released the updated version. It's called the second edition because we have not changed the sectors. We have not changed the levels. The levels remains 1 to 8. We have not changed the credit requirement, and we have not changed the learning outcome. The 5 clusters remain. What we have done is we are introducing some of the new skill set as a sub attributes of the 5 clusters of learning outcome. Yeah. So the new emphasis in MQF 2024 is basically 4. There is a renewed emphasis on values-based education, focusing on humanistic, communal, and societal values in line with the national education philosophy. A more comprehensive treatment of flexible learning pathway encompassing flexible entry, progression, and completion of an academic program. Renewed emphasis on global sustainability agenda, requiring programs to integrate sustainability competencies within the 5 clusters of learning outcome, and then to enable independent training providers the opportunity to align their module development with MQA quality assurance procedure, leading to verification of modules for credit transfer. So these are the 4 new emphases that has been taken on board in the update of MQF 2024. Now, let us look at the learning outcome, skill sets, and competencies. Now, we have 3 major documents. The first one is the Education Act, through which we will establish, with your permission, I call it National Education Philosophy Competencies. And then you have your MQA Act, through which we were given the MQF clusters of learning outcome, the 5 clusters of learning outcome or skill sets. And then we also have the sustainability competencies advocated under Education for Sustainable Development. Right, the NEP competencies, I have reproduced the statement here, and down here I have put the three competencies, the three NEP competencies. The first one is to develop talent for the industry with knowledge and skills of the discipline, to develop talents or citizens that can work together, communicate and work together in the industry and also society, and also talent that will have personality and character. So these are the three NEC competencies. And then we look at MQA Act. MQA Act introduces MQF. MQF now introduces what we call the 5 clusters of learning outcome. The 5 clusters of learning outcome, I take it as a brand name, but in actual fact, what they say here, knowledge, understanding, cognitive skill, work skill, interpersonal skill, these are basically skill sets. So the 5 clusters of learning outcome can be elaborated into 11 skill sets. So this is basically, in the document, it's called 5 clusters of learning outcome, remembering that it's a brand name, but strictly speaking, learning outcome are statements on what the student should know, understand, and can do upon successful completion of a period of study, which generally leads to a part or a qualification. So in other words, these are skill sets when written in a proper form with verb, skill set, and context, then it becomes a learning outcome statements. Now, we have 3 NEP competencies, and we have 5 clusters of learning outcome, which can be expanded into 11 skill sets. Now, you have to remember also in MQF 2017, it states that the 5 clusters of learning outcome, they are to be applied and integrative in approach. So in other words, they are not standalone. They are not being developed in terms of standalone. For example, digital skill cannot be developed as a standalone by itself. Digital skills should be also integrated with cognitive skills when you do simulation to solve problems. Digital skills could also be integrated with communication skills and so on. And then when you talk about ethics, ethics should also be integrated with cognitive skills, with problem solving. Ethics should also be integrated with leadership. So in other words, there is various permutations of how to mix and match the various skill sets in the MQF clusters of learning outcome. Now, this is one example. Looking here, this is our MQF 2017, and I put in pink over here. This is the sub attributes that we can introduce, the sub attributes of the sustainability sub attributes with the 5 clusters of learning outcome. This is one example of how we can do it. Now, I want to relate to you how the NEP competencies can be mapped. NEC competencies here can be mapped to the 5 clusters of learning outcome. So developing the industry talent with knowledge and skills of the discipline. This is in fact knowledge and understanding, cognitive skills of the discipline, practical skills of the discipline, digital skills, and numeracy skills. And for ability to communicate and interact, these are personal, interpersonal skills, communications, digital skills, leadership, personal skills, and entrepreneurial skills. And finally, for ethics and for personality and character building, you have your personal skills and ethics and professionalism. So now what I've shown you is how I relate the 5 clusters of learning outcome to the 3 NEP competencies. Let's move on to the next one. The next one that we introduced in the updated version of MQF 2024, we introduced the sustainability competencies based on education for sustainable development. There are 8 competencies: system thinking, anticipatory thinking, normative thinking, strategic thinking, collaboration competency, critical thinking, self-awareness competency, and integrated problem-solving competency. There are 8 competencies, what I will refer to as the sustainability competencies, right? Now, how do we relate all these 3 together? First, we have the national education philosophy competencies to develop talent and skills of the discipline, ability to interact and work together in society and industry, and develop personality and character. I have shown the mapping on how MQF can be mapped to this, and I have done the same for the sustainability competencies. Okay. Now, sustainability competencies, as you can see, system thinking, this is basically cognitive skill, anticipatory thinking, critical thinking, strategic competency, it can be here, integrated problem solving, these are basically knowledge, cognitive, numeracy skills, right? So they are to be related to the knowledge and skills of the discipline. Uh, in respect to molding citizens that are working together, in respect of molding citizens to be able to work and interact in society or in the industry, we see that MQF, we have communication, interpersonal skill, leadership, entrepreneurial, digital skills. On the sustainable competency, we have collaborative competency, strategic competency, and normative competency. And on the perspective of developing personality and character, MQF, we have personal skills, ethics, and professionalism. On the sustainability competencies, we have self-awareness competency and collaborative competency. So in other words, this mix and match can vary from time to time depending on the program that you are dealing with. And then that is why I say that again, I refer to my disclaimer earlier on, this is not the only way, or this is not the MQA approved mapping. There are a degree of flexibility in the mapping depending on the program. So you should establish the mapping based on your program, but it has to be endorsed by your academic board that say that this is what you are adopting, and the whole faculty will adopt that. Okay, you cannot leave this to the mapping to be done at the individual lecturers level. This has got to be done. The paling lowest sekali is the program level. It better still if the university can come up, UNIMAS can come up with a mapping that UNIMAS, the whole university will adopt. If you can do that, it's marvelous. But it is going to be difficult because there is no one mapping that fits all the program in the university. Okay, now let us see how can we integrate values-based education. How can we integrate values-based education? This is the first part. Values-based education, we have to fall back to the national education philosophy. National education philosophy saying that we want to produce students that are holistic and integrated, balanced and harmonious. So the clauses in MQF at the moment, the principal statement that we have is statement number 1, item 1, and item number 2. This effort aims to improve learning skills and competencies, nurturing holistic and balanced graduate. So holistic and balanced graduate, I would say that this is holistic. We are talking about holistic and integrated, balanced and harmonious. So holistic, integrated, holistic, balanced and harmonious graduates. So this is referring to the national education philosophy. And here, clearly, developments in higher education and training institutions have been guided broadly by the national education philosophy, which emphasizes nurturing holistic and balanced graduate that will contribute to the social, economic, political development of the nation. So these two principal statements are basically the two statements that we have that is asking. I would say this at the moment. Now, the emphasis is only clear in MQF, but other documents, codes or practices would also be updated by MQA to emphasize on what is being mentioned in the MQF now. So values-based education focus on developing moral and ethical values alongside academic rigor. Values-based education aims to nurture character, personality, attitude, and behavior based on humanistic, societal, and communal values. Having said that, let me retract a little bit on values. I am not saying that in 2007, 2017, the MQF does not have any values. Our education system does not have any values. Our education system now basically has a stronger value towards economic value, where we're looking at, employability, starting salary, graduate on time. So that sort of thing, those are the values that we've been holding to. Now in 2024, what we're saying is, in addition to those values, we're not throwing away employability, we're not throwing away starting salary, we're not throwing away GOT, but we say that in addition to those, we should also focus on nurturing character, personality, and attitude based on humanistic, societal, and communal values. This is what we are saying with respect to values-based education. And now we need to integrate values-based education into our MQF clusters of learning outcome. Now you have your MQF learning outcome, you have your NEP competencies. Okay. Note the matching between MQF clusters of learning outcome and sustainability competencies are only examples. HEP are free to mix and match the learning outcomes and the competencies. When I say that knowledge and understanding, this can be mapped to ESD, this can be mapped to ESD, I mean that in the sense that you have to do some thinking. This is not just a blanket mapping. So this mapping is just it is possible to map, but you need not map to all this. You need not map to all this. You may be selecting your own mix and match in terms of that is more related or more suited to your program that you are running. Okay, the NEP competencies, we are talking about developing personality and character, together with cluster 5 of MQF learning outcome. Ethics and professionalism are to be integrated with the other MQF LOs, namely knowledge and understanding, cognitive skills, communication, interpersonal skills, leadership, and personal and entrepreneurial skills. So what we're saying is, when you integrate VBE in the 5 clusters of learning outcome, you will look at your ethics and professionalism. Nampak tak dekat sini kita kata you need to integrate ethics and professionalism. Ethics and professionalism are to be integrated with the other MQF learning outcome. So this is your ethics and professionalism. You need to integrate ethics and professionalism with knowledge and understanding. Basically, applying, analyzing, evaluating, creating knowledge must be based on ethics and professionalism. When you do PhD, you do masters and all that, you are creating knowledge, you are doing whatever, you are analyzing, you are evaluating, you are interpreting. That must be done with ethics and professionalism. That must be done. You do not massage the data. You do not you do not make a biased sort of judgment or recommendation. So basically what we're talking about, dealing with knowledge and understanding, you need to look at them from the perspective of ethics and professionalism as well. Cognitive skills, solution to problems must be based on ethics and professionalism. Your interpersonal skill, personal professional relations must be based on honesty and integrity. Personal professional communication must be based on honesty and integrity. Digital skills, digital facilities and platforms are to be used with proper ethics and etiquette. And leadership and autonomy, leadership must be based on honesty and integrity. And then when you talk about personal skills, flexibility and adaptability is to be incorporated into personal skills. Entrepreneurial mindset, skills, ventures must be based on honesty and integrity. So in other words, what I'm saying to you now is, if you are currently running your program, cognitive skill, purely problem solving, then I would suggest that in the coming years, when you design your program, when you design your course material, when you design your assessment, problem solving must be coupled with ethical consideration as well. You need to throw some conflicting dilemmas in the problem so that they would come up with the problem and then they will justify why the solution is in that manner. So in other words, 70%, 80% of the marks could be allocated to the problem solving, which is the cognitive skills. 20% could be on the ethics, on the integrity, on the honesty, and so on. So this is what I'm saying when it comes to this sort of mapping. And I'm saying this because earlier on, I've said that the 5 clusters of learning outcome, they are to be applied and integrative through the application is through applied and integrative approach in terms of context and responsibility. So kita kena ambil kira yang itu. Okay. So in other words, the application of values-based education is to bring ethics into the rest of the 5 clusters of learning outcome as a secondary attribute, without diminishing the main attribute. Right. Next, we want to look at the sustainability competencies. This is the ESD thing. This is the ESD thing. So what are the statements relating to this? The statements relating to ESD is, in addition, sustainability key competencies advocated in education for sustainable development, ESD should also be related and integrated into the 5 clusters of learning outcome. So this is the principal statement. We are to bring in the sustainable competencies, sustainability key competencies, the 8 competencies into our 5 clusters of learning outcome. So this is item 2. And item 49, the MQF advocates for concept and practice of sustainability. HEPs are recommended to include the global sustainability agenda at all MQF levels in their graduate profile and or any of the learning outcomes domain, learning content or assessment to produce graduates with balanced holistic academic and social skills. So in other words, these 2 statements, item 2 and item 49, is advocating that we take on board the sustainability competencies in terms of content and also in terms of assessment. In terms of assessment, you need to do the assessment, in terms of content, introducing into the content, and also to assess the sustainability competencies. Now, education for sustainable development embodies the acquisition of knowledge, skills, values, and empowerment for learners of all ages to address interconnected global challenges such as climate change, biodiversity loss, resource depletion, and social inequality. It also requires participatory teaching methods that inspire and enable learners to transform their behavior and actively engage in action promoting sustainable development. So this educational approach fosters essential competencies, including critical thinking, envisioning the future, scenarios, anticipated thinking, and collaborative decision making. So this is the definition given by UNESCO in 2017. Oops. Okay. Global Sustainability Agenda, we started with the Rio Summit. It started much earlier in the 40s, in the 50s, but I just take here the Rio Summit of 1992, and then that resulted in Agenda 21, a 30-year plan, 1992 to 2021, and then we came up with the first 15 years of the MDG, Millennium Development Goal, and then this was followed in 2015, at the end of 2015, with the Sustainable Development Goal. So this is your SDG, the current long-term goal that the United Nations is advocating, which has been accepted by the member states of the United Nations. You have 17 goals: no poverty, zero hunger, and so on. And how do we take this on board? Remember this when I say that you may want to bring this practice, grade profile, learning content. You may want to bring it into your content, right? To bring that into your content, this is what okay, I'll mention this. This is what the College of Engineering at UiTM has done. Again, I go back to my disclaimer. This is not the only way. This is not the only approved MQA method. There are many other ways of doing it. This is one of the ways of doing it. So the way we do this is we look at the 17 goals, and then we say to ourselves that since we are a university, quality education, which is number 4, goal number 4 is important. And since this is an engineering school, climate action, number 13, is important to us because we are basically the culprit who has done so much destruction to the earth. And then now we have the knowledge and skills on how to stop this destruction and how to reverse some of the effects. So these are the two goals that we put up here as the main theme. Ini kita panggil dia main theme, and then we will look at the remaining 15. What is related to engineering? We say that sustainable cities and communities. Sustainable cities, this is engineering. Responsible consumption and production, this is engineering. Industry, innovation, infrastructure, engineering. Clean energy, engineering. Clean water and sanitation, engineering. Life below water, life on land, prevention of pollution, this is engineering. So we have 7 of the goals which are directly related to engineering. We call this tier 1. The remaining, okay, the remaining 8, the remaining 8, no poverty, zero hunger, this is what we say tier 2. We call this tier 2. So we first classify this. So what I'm suggesting in UNIMAS is, in order to do this, this cannot be done at the university level. This has got to be done at the faculty, or better still, this is better still if you can do it at the program level, because the program will be mapping, one program may be mapping it differently to another program. But if you say that you have Faculty of Engineering, then maybe you can come up with one mapping for all engineering. But the mapping for engineering cannot be the same with the mapping for business. It's going to be completely different. So this is an example. Again, go on the basis of principle, what is related to your particular discipline, call it tier 1. What is not related, what is not directly related to your curriculum, call it tier 2. And what do? We map tier 1 against the courses in the curriculum. And then we map tier 2 against general studies, MPU, co-curriculum, and student activities. For example, I know that I cannot take into consideration gender equality, reduce inequality in my curriculum. Then I will talk to the English lecturers. They talk about report writing, they talk about grammar and all that. Can you make your content, the subject to use in writing report, gender equality, reduce inequality? So this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do to talk to them. And then when we talk about, when you talk about gender studies, MPU, can we talk about philosophy about, philosophy about growth and development, to look at no poverty and hunger? So these sort of things can be done at the university level. So this, basically the gender studies, co-curriculum and student activities, the university should develop a guideline on how these courses are to be adopted, in the sense that they will relate to the 17 goals. They will relate to the 17 goals. And I've mentioned this was done at the College of Engineering, UITM. This was done to address the global sustainability agenda. And then what we do now is we have our courses. You remember we have table 3. Table 3 is a mapping of courses versus your program learning outcome. We have the same mapping courses against the PLO. So in other words, what we are looking at now is, there is a possibility that the student that comes into my program at semester 1, going through semester 2, semester 3, by the time they get to the final semester, the student will have been exposed to all 17 SDGs. And of course, being an engineering faculty, we also map our courses to the 9 pillars of IR 4.0. So this need not be done. MQF 2.0 did not call for this. MQF 2.0 did not call for this. MQF 2024 only calls for you to make sure that your content is, your content takes into consideration of the sustainability, global sustainability agenda. So this is one way of doing it. And of course, I can also map my MPU courses to the SDG and so on. So that is taking into consideration how content is being developed, or content is being modified to bring in SDG into the content. Now, how do we go to the next stage of actually assessing the sustainability competencies? You have your 5 clusters, which you are already familiar with. And then you have your sustainability competencies, which I've shown you: system thinking, anticipatory thinking, normative competency, strategic thinking, collaboration competency, critical thinking, self-awareness competency, integrated problem solving. Now, what I've mentioned just now was, I say that the ESD competencies may be treated as sub-attributes of the MQF learning outcome. This is not mentioned in the MQF. This is my opinion, right? This is not mentioned in the MQF. So we say, because since the MQF does not change the table of the 5 clusters, then I would say that the table of the 5 clusters of learning outcome remains intact. The only way we can bring this into the learning outcome is to treat that as a sub-attribute. Treat this as a sub-attribute to the MQF learning outcome. And they may be assessed at the course level and will collectively contribute to the PLOs which they support. So this is a diagram. You have this diagram in the notes that I've given you, but it is a bit small. But if you have this online, if you are on the computer, you can always go to the Zoom, and then you'll be able to read these small items. Now, let me say this to you. This is the national education philosophy. Develop knowledge and skills of the discipline, develop effective skills for effective interaction in society and industry, develop personality and character. This is your MQF. You can map this. I've shown you earlier. This is your ESD competencies, and you can map your ESD competencies directly to the MQF. Now, having mapped this, you will now have a look at how do I mix and match this box here with this box over here. So I am now expanding this part, this part here. I'm expanding this part. You have knowledge and systems thinking. So what I'm doing is I am combining knowledge and system thinking. Knowledge and system thinking. And when I combine that, what is the perspective of that combination? Bringing together, integrating knowledge and system thinking. What is the guideline that I will use? What is my expectation of this? It is written here. It is written, knowledge plus system thinking, student move beyond rote learning, connecting facts to the larger global systems, understanding broader implication of individual elements. So that is what is meant by combining knowledge and system thinking. So if I want to match cognitive skills, for example, cognitive skills and anticipatory and strategic thinking, this is what I will be looking at. Cognitive plus anticipatory or strategic thinking. Analysis evolve into forecasting. Students learn to envision future outcomes and strategize accordingly, thinking multiple steps ahead. So this is the definition that I give on that combination, on that mix and match. Right? Now, if you ask me, this is not given in the MQF. This is not given in the MQF. So this is what the program must sit down, and you must decide what are you matching, which to which. Okay, practical skills and integrated problem solving. Task-based learning is enriched with holistic problem solving, ensuring skills are applied in diverse real-world contexts. So you come up with a short description so that the lecturer will have an idea of what to expect, what sort of problems to give. The problems that you give to the students will help them to realize this statement over here. So these statements are not fixed. These are examples. These are examples. So again, I can also mix interpersonal skill and collaborative and normative. I can mix them in whatever manner that I want. I can put digital skills and collaboration. I can put interpersonal skill and collaboration. I can put interpersonal skills and normative. So when I put that match, I need to come up with a short write-up of what to expect from that combination or from that integration of this MQF 2.0, MQF 5 clusters of learning outcome and the sustainability competencies. And similarly, I can mix and match personal skills, ethics and professionalism with collaboration and awareness. So these are examples. What I've given in this small box here, which I've expanded over here. I expanded over here is for each of reading for me so that I can read it. And then when you do this mixing and matching, you basically try to look at realizing this. You are trying to realize this. And I say that the number one is basically the cognitive part is basically at the heart of MQF learning domain lies synergy between foundational knowledge and the transformative competencies of the SDGs. Knowledge isn't just acquired, it is connected through systems thinking. Cognitive skills don't just analyze, they anticipate, strategize, and critically evaluate the world's complexities. Practical skills aren't just performed, they contribute to holistic solution grounded by precise numeracy. So in other words, this is a summary of our expectation by combining 5 clusters of learning outcome, the 5 clusters of learning outcome yang ini, by when you combine this and this is what you would expect, yang ini. This is what you would expect dekat sini. When you combine this, ini apa, green ke apa? Tak tahulah ni. Light green, light green, the 2 boxes, this is what you would expect. Dia tulis kat sini, bawah sini, yang number 2. So if I expand it, it says, the realm of modern leadership goes beyond foundational aspect. It is the realm of communication where ideas are shared and digital platforms where global network converge. It is in ethical leadership where decisions are made with integrity and professionalism, where action speaks louder than word. So similarly, when I mix the green box here, dark green dengan kat sini, and this is what you would, the narrative. But when you do all that, what is important is this, in context of, okay, in delivering these 3 objectives, 1, 2, 3 ni, there is a need to balance artificial intelligence with the human intuitive intelligence. The integration of AI and data analytics within 5 clusters of learning outcome enhance foundational knowledge, system thinking, strategic problem solving, preparing students for future challenges. Modern leadership is extended into digital realms, emphasizing ethical decision making and professional conduct through AI-driven initiative balanced with intuitive intelligence. This approach fosters personal drive and entrepreneurial innovation, encouraging collaboration and promoting global progress and sustainability, ultimately aligning with sustainable development goals and enriching the educational experience. The main message is we need to balance artificial intelligence with the intelligence. Okay, ESD competencies may be treated as sub-attributes. I'm repeating this again, as sub-attributes of the MQF learning outcome. They may be assessed at course levels and will be collectively contribute to the PLOs which they support. Baik, these are examples only. HEPs are free to determine how to mix and match the 5 clusters of learning outcome and the ESD competencies. Now, let me take this. This is may not be a good example in terms of the mapping. Mapping ni banyak sangat dia tick, there are too many ticks. But this is a master's program on engineering management. So basically, you will start with a mapping of your courses versus PLO. And your PLO, let us assume that kalau dia kat sini apa, PLO 1 knowledge and understanding, PLO 2 cognitive skills. So again, you would be able to look at macam ni. Kalau dia cognitive skills, in your program dekat Unimas itu, you nak campur dia dengan apa? Which of this you need to identify? Cognitive skills, you want to add, you want to mix and match dengan yang mana? Practical skills, you want to mix and match dengan yang mana? So by doing that, you will not go, you will not go astray. You will be more focused. No, let me take one example. This particular course, this particular course dia ada PLO 1, 2, 3. Ni apa, 9 dengan 11, 9 dengan 11. Now, before I go to that, let us recall that writing of a good PLO statement kena ada verb, skill set dengan context. Writing of a good CLO statement kena ada verb, condition, substance or content, and dia kena ada criteria, standard or competency level. Dia kena ada itu. Tiga sifat ni dia kena ada. Now, My program tadi, yang kat sini tadi ni, yang sini, okay. Dia ada program learning outcome untuk kursus itu. At one of the program learning outcome, PLO number 3, it reads like this. At the end of the program, student will be able to evaluate advanced knowledge critically and integratively to manage and deduce solution for complex problem or issues and practical challenges by applying advanced techniques, tools, skills, and combination of approaches for decision making and producing new ideas and or innovation solution within engineering management fields. So dekat sini dia ada verb yang hitam ni semua ni skill set belakang ni. I must say that there is a lot of skill sets in that statement. And then this is dia punya context. Context dia adalah within engineering management. Now, dia punya CLO sekarang, bunyi dia macam ni. One of the CLOs bunyi dia, at the end of the course, student will be able to perform skill sets in relation to risk management, control and administration. There's nothing wrong with that. Sebab dia ada dia punya apa orang kata, the verb, perform skill set, these are the condition, cuma yang dia tidak ada ialah the criteria or the standard or competency level. Dia tidak ada yang itu. So if I were doing to, if I'm basing this, I am basing this on the program learning outcome, I can actually write course learning outcome taking into consideration the 8 competencies. I can select any. I'm not saying that for one program learning outcome, you need to write all 8 competencies. I'm just showing you how you can write any one of the 8 competencies or any one of the sustainability competencies, 8 sustainability competencies with respect to this program learning outcome. If I want to take into consideration system thinking, then I would say that at the end of the course, students will be able to assess using systems thinking various construction methods, ensuring completion on time and within the allocated budget. This is my verb, these are my conditions, and this is my competency level or my criteria. Criteria is within allocated budget. Or if I want to bring in anticipatory thinking, recommend using anticipatory thinking response plan in cases of emergencies on construction sites based on relevant national standards. This is my verb, these are my condition, and then these are my standard. If I want to bring in strategic thinking to support this program learning outcome, then I will say that evaluate using strategic thinking multiple sites for an integrated engineering facilities to reduce carbon footprint. For example, a transportation hub, integrated engineering facilities to reduce the. So my criteria is to reduce the carbon footprint. Kalau kita tengok sekarang, the same CLO and the same PLO, but now I want to take it from the perspective of critical thinking, evaluate limited available data using critical thinking to solve complex problems that are acceptable to all stakeholders. This is the criteria. Prepare a proposal for an integrated commercial and residential development, minimizing the conflict between stakeholders. Atau kalau saya nak masukkan normative competency, at the end of the course, students will be able to manage workers using normative competencies to ensure a conducive working environment, taking into account different norms, faith, and cultures. Manage multidisciplinary teams using collaboration competency to ensure effective and efficient delivery of the project. Adapt decisions using self-awareness competency to resolve complex related norms, faith, and cultures. So, jadi this program learning outcome, when I look at it, is so broad. I can write my CLOs to take on board any one of the 8 sustainability competencies. Sini ada 3, sini ada 2, sini ada 3. So what I'm showing you is you bring in the competencies as a condition, using system thinking, using anticipatory thinking, using strategic thinking. Dekat sini kita buat macam tu. Now, let me see. FEB apa dia? Anyone from Unimas?
Fakulti Ekonomi dan Perniagaan.
Fakulti Ekonomi dengan apa?
Business. Economic and Business.
Okay, dia ada satu subjek statistic for economics and and apa
Business, Prof.
business. Statistic for economic and business. Dia punya program learning outcome apply numeracy, dia punya PLO dia apply numeracy skills in the field of economics. Dia ada verb, dia ada skill set, dia ada field of economics, dia ada konteks. Okey, cantik. Simple tapi cantik. Cuma dia kata ini MQF cognitive skill. Ini tegang terbentang. This is clearly saying numeracy skill. So sepatutnya dia numeracy skill. Not cognitive skill. Existing 2017 punya 2017 MQF, this is how they wrote it. Evaluate economic and business problems with the help of probabilities and statistics. And then they make an attempt current if they are to address this with MQF 2024, evaluate economic and business problems using probabilities and statistics by applying anticipatory thinking to forecast future trends and outcome. And my suggestion mungkin evaluate economic and business problem. Kita bawa yang ni dulu. Utilizing ni, instead kalau letak dekat belakang sini, kita bawa dia ke depan. Utilizing anticipatory thinking or using risk analysis with probability and statistics as tools to forecast future trends and outcomes. You got your verb, you got your conditions, okay? You got your conditions and then you got your criteria ataupun competency level. So this is one example. Satu lagi FSGK. Apa dia FSGK ni? Fakulti apa?
Sains
Fakulti
kognitif.
Seni Gunaan dan
Seni
Kreatif.
gunaan.
Dah agak dah. Sebab saya ingat sains gunaan. Tapi K ni saya tak tahu apa benda. Tapi bila saya baca dia punya apa ni, macam orang seni ni. Performance apa semua ni kan. Okay. One of the courses dia ada is making performance. Work collaboratively as a team to demonstrate a balanced interpersonal skill in achieving any given task. Dia ambil MQF punya 3B, interpersonal skills. So this is okay. Existing, complete a variety of works, including personal narratives and performances through collaborative work. Dia review untuk 2024, complete a variety of works, including personal narrative and performances through collaborative effort while demonstrating self-awareness and reflecting on emotional impact of the creative process. So saya suggest assume responsibility kena ada verb. Sebab dia punya ini affective domain kan. Affective domain kalau saya cari complete ni dia tak ada dalam affective domain. Saya tak jumpa affective domain dia tu. Dia letak verb dia sendiri tanpa melihat pada taxonomy domain yang dia claim A3 ini. Assume, saya melihat pada A3 ni, saya cari verb dekat A3, assume responsibility for a variety of works demonstrating self-awareness, including personal narrative and performances through collaborative effort while reflecting on emotional impact of creative process. Perhaps you punya konteks tu nak jadi apa? On equality and justice, supaya dia bawa yang apa? SDG punya content itu. This is just a suggestion. This is just a suggestion. So yang ini, bila kita tengok yang ni, you are on the right track. Tapi saya minta kalau boleh, lepas kita the first condition itu, variety of work, demonstrating awareness tu kita bawa dulu. Kita bawa dulu demonstrating awareness. Kita bawa dulu anticipatory thinking. We bring it up front. Jadi dia tak tenggelam. So that you will be able to clearly highlight this is the sustainability competencies that you bring. Now, what is missing? What is missing is yang ini. You tidak ada yang ini. When you did this, you did not have the. This is what you have done. Sorry, nampak tak saya tukar, saya buka apa ni? Saya buka Excel file sekarang.
Nampak.
Are you seeing an Excel file?
Nampak.
Nampak. Now, you have the name of your course and then you have your PLO. Your PLO kat sini cognitive skills. Cognitive skills ni, you nak cantumkan dia dengan integrated problem solving. Nampak? You want to put cognitive skills and integrated problem solving. What is missing? What is missing is the descriptor. The descriptor, cognitive skills and integrated problem solving tu apa yang you nak fokus. So my suggestion lah, my suggestion, if Unimas can come up with apa orang kata, this is your PLO and then this is your integrated problem solving. You have a statement dekat sini, a brief description of what you expect from integrating cognitive skill dengan integrated problem solving. What is your expectation from integrating ethics professionalism dengan self-awareness? Nampak tak? So when you have that descriptor, then it will help you write the CLO better. Without that, then kadang-kadang kita akan terbabas. You will get sidetrack. So that is what is not there lah, what is missing. So kalau boleh ada satu lagi column untuk buat that description, a brief description macam tu. Now, alamak, sorry. Alah, mana dia? Sorry. Mana dia dah buka balik? Lagi satu saya nak this is my opinion this is my opinion. You nampak tak dekat sini knowledge and understanding dengan critical skill, okay? Banyak ni. Cognitive skill, integrated problem solving. Cognitive skill, integrated problem solving. Dia banyak duplicate. You kena to be smart. You combine cognitive skills itu satu dengan strategic thinking, satu dengan anticipatory thinking, satu. Then nanti senang nak buat reporting. Bila dah ada semua tu, and preferably later I will show you that you try to choose the courses in the last 3 semesters. You try to choose in the last 3 semesters, you ada critical thinking, anticipatory thinking kan? You ada strategic thinking. Okay? So what you have done here, I'm not sure. This is master's program ke apa ke? Is this a master
undergraduate program?
Undergraduate program, makna kata you tak ambil semualah, you pilih 12 kursus sahaja. Am I correct?
Yes, Prof. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
yes,
I
Prof.
think you are
From
on the
different
right track.
program.
Different courses ke different program?
Different courses and different programs.
Okay. For a given program, you choose courses that will help. Kalau boleh pilih kursus yang you boleh cover semua 8 itu. Dan 8 itu kalau boleh kita pilih kursus-kursus itu yang berada pada 2 atau 3 semester yang terakhir. Because that is the point where they are almost at the point of graduation, which you can say that this is a valid measurement of their punya competency level. So
okay, noted, Prof.
ada 2 perkara untuk ditambah baik. Ada 2 perkara untuk ditambah baik. Number 1, mix and match. Once you mix and match, come up with a short description macam saya tunjukkan dekat sini. You need to come up, once you have mix and match, mana dia? Once you have mix and match, you come up with a short description dekat sini. Lepas tu, your table tu, you mix, match, short description and then choose the courses in the last 2 or 3 semesters that can cover all your 8 competencies. Jadi nanti bila nak report, I will move on from here. Kalau kita nak report PLO, kan kita ada 3 model. Accumulating model, dominating model dan culminating model. Kalau kita ambil culminating model, kita pilih kursus yang 3 kursus pada semester akhir yang dia cover semua PLO. So itu culminating model. Kalau dominating model, dia ambil a few courses semester 1, a few courses semester 2, a few courses semester 3 macam tu. And saya suggest untuk report sustainability competencies, kita gunakan dominating model. Dominating model ni makna dia kita boleh pilih. Kita boleh pilih kursus-kursus dari semester-semester tertentu. So saya suggest select courses having sustainability competencies as a CLO. So you tengok yang ada cognitive skill, knowledge and understanding, cognitive skill nak matchkan dengan systematic thinking, anticipatory thinking, strategic thinking, integrated problem solving, critical thinking. Nak matchkan dengan itu. Pilih kursus itu. And then you develop the table with mapping of the selected courses to sustainable competencies, and then you report on the sustainability competencies. Courses kita nak pilih macam mana? Untuk program 3 tahun, select courses in the last 2 semesters that can cover all sustainability competencies. For 4-year program, select the last 3 semesters. MSc program, then it doesn't matter sebab dia subjek tak banyak. Select a combination of courses that cover all the sustainability competencies. Sama ada semester pertama atau semester kedua. Biasa semester ketiga tu dia buat projek. Okay. So itu dia punya kaedah untuk kita nak apa? Nak deal dengan nak deal dengan apa? Mana dia? Nak deal dengan okay. I think kita ada setengah jam untuk perbincangan. I would like to apa? To stop dan kita gunakan masa tu untuk Q&A lah. Now, the Malaysian Qualification Framework has evolved over time, reflecting changes in education policy, labour market needs, and international standard. Each edition of the MQF represents an evolution from a more rigid, nationally focused system to one that is more inclusive, outcomes-based, and aligned with international standard. MQF 2024 marks a significant shift towards integration, lifelong learning, adaptability in response to the rapidly changing demand of the global market. So jadi kita boleh lagi satu ni concluding remarks ni you kena ingat MQA lepas ni dia akan semua dokumen-dokumen ni dia akan update supaya dia akan orang kata selaras dengan MQF. So I hope that the updates will be in line dengan apa yang kita bincangkan tadi lah. Again, dia akan bagi standard saja. Dia tak bagi tahu cara macam mana nak buat. Cara how to do it. Okay, how to do it is basically, like I say, what I've shown you just now is one of the ways of doing it. It is not the only way. It is probably not the best way of doing it. It may not be the best way of doing it. Tapi this is how we translate that those few clauses yang saya bacakan tadi, the few clauses, item 1, item 2, item 40 something just now, how to translate those clauses into practice. So this is something. And then once you have the CLOs, you got to start thinking of the learning activities. How do I actually put in the learning activities so that I can measure these learning outcomes? Okay, time to wake up. Yang mana yang tertidur tadi tu dah boleh bangun. Right, I think I can stop here now. Boleh siapa chairperson tadi tu? Where is the chair?
Okay, hi, thank you, Prof.
I'm looking. Ni dia kat sini.
Okay.
Right. How do we go about this Q&A? I think the Q&A session would be more beneficial rather than I use the full 2 hours to talk.
Okay, I think we can open for question and answer session. Anyone? Or you can write in the chat box as well. Any questions?
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Saya Dr. Kamsia nak tanyalah. So, dengan kata lain, untuk satu-satu program tu, tidak semua kursus itu perlu di mapping dengan ESD. Sebab tadi nampak daripada yang disuggest tadi tu, kursus-kursus tahun 3 ataupun kursus-kursus tahun 2.
Okay. Kalau Dr. Kamsyah tanya saya, jawapan saya ya. Tetapi Dr. Kamsyah kena ingat dalam Malaysia ni dia banyak pakar. Sebab itu bila saya tunjukkan tadi, in order to measure, to report your learning outcome, ada 3 model, doktor. Ada 3 model. Accumulating model, dominating model, dengan combination model kan. So sama juga dengan ESD competencies ni, doktor. Saya punya pandangan akan ada pakar-pakar yang mengatakan we can adopt culminating model. We can adopt dominating model. We can adopt accumulating model. Tapi buat masa ini, saya khawatir kalau kita limit pada 2-3 kursus pada tahun akhir sahaja, mungkin agak sukar nak mencari kursus-kursus yang kita boleh masukkan sustainability competencies tu. Sebab tu saya punya pendekatan, saya suggest kita ambil jalan tengah. Nak buat semua accumulating, nak buat yang ujung saja tu, the 2 extreme, kita ambil yang tengah, dominating model. Dominating model, kita pilih kursus-kursus yang berada pada semester 6, 7 dan 8 untuk program 4 tahun. ataupun program semester 5 dan 6 untuk program 3 tahun. So jadi kalau untuk apa orang kata satu semester tu ada kot dalam 5-6 kursus kan. 5-6 kursus satu semester. Kalau 3 semester 15. 15 kursus tu boleh kot kita cari kan. Kita cari kursus dalam 15 tu untuk dapat apa? Sustainability competencies yang 8 itu. Itu saya punya pendekatan. Again, I say this is not the only way. This is not the best way.
Thank you, Prof.
Yeah. Tapi saya punya nasihat, doktor, jawatan apa doktor?
Timbalan Dekan Prasiswaza.
Dekan ya?
Timbalan Dekan.
Apa suruh jadi timbalan? Kenapa tak jadi dekan? Okay. It is much better. It is much better kalau kita dah buat decision itu, it is endorsed somewhere in your academic board. Kata kita akan ambil pendekatan dominating approach. So that untuk sekurang-kurangnya bagi tempoh 3-4 tahun ini, itulah pendekatan kita. Until kita evaluate what we have done in the apa dalam 3-4 tahun itu, and then if we want to change to take the culminating approach, then again bring back to your academic board, kata okay, mulai pada tahun ini pendekatan kita akan guna culminating approach. Bagi saya buat masa ini mula je dulu sebab MQA nak tengok pada tahun 2026 ya. Dia akan tengok starting Julai 2026, end of July 2026.
Okay. Thank you, Prof.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prof. We have few questions from the chat box.
Can you read it for me, please?
Yeah, from Professor Ting. I'm going to do audit pengekalan for a university in 2 weeks. Should I use the 2024 framework shared today? I think I should use the earlier because the ESD are not in the CLO yet.
Okay, Prof. Ting. I am not sure apa nama ni, whether it's just shortly before the 6th of August or shortly after the 6th of August. MQA has written to all the universities informing them of the updated version 2024. And in the letter, MQA states that this will come into effect. We are given 2 years. We are given 2 years from the date of the letter. Given to, okay, date of the, okay, now I remember. The date of the letter is 1st of August. We are given 2 years from the date of the letter. So meaning that 2 years, this updated version, what we have described here, will only come into effect 31st July 2026. So if any program submits a document to MQA before 31st July, they can still submit based on the 2017 MQF. They need not take into consideration what we have discussed now. But it would be good if they start doing it now. But for the purpose of you going to visit a program, Prof, you will only ask them what is your preparation, but you will not be making assessment based on how well they are prepared. You will still be evaluating them based on the existing document MQF 2017 and the existing COPA. Does that answer your question, Prof. Ting?
Prof. Ting, are you here? Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
So you jangan pergi bagi dia orang terkejut dia, Prof. Ting. You go there nicely and ask them nicely what is your preparation towards the updated version ya. Jangan bagi dia orang panik lah. I mean we go there,
Okay.
we go there as their peers, we go there as their colleagues ya. Kita pergi tolong dia orang ya. Nak pergi mana tu, Prof. Ting?
UPM.
Oh, UPM. Alright. Okay.
Okay, we move on to the next one. Okay, this one is from nursing. Does the addition of the ESD entail that we must change every single CLO statement to include ESD? If no, how much of the CLO must cover the ESD? Or how many ESDs must the program cover? I think there are
Okay.
quite a number of questions, yeah.
Okay, first and foremost, MQF does not specify how many CLOs. It does not specify in terms of percentage. Dia tak bagi tahu pun. It is just a principle statement saying that you need to take on board in your program. So, as I've mentioned to you, there are 3 approaches of doing this. Macam kita start OBE dulu. Do we need to change all the CLOs to accommodate for all the program learning outcome? Some say that, we can take the accumulation approach, kita tukar semua. Some take the approach of apa orang kata, not the measurement and reporting. Measurement and reporting, some take the approach of accumulating model. We have to do all the CLOs. We have to measure all the CLOs. Some take the approach of dominating models, selected courses from every semester. Some take the culminating approach. So in this particular case, MQA does not specify. So if there are programs that say that they want to change all their programs so that they ada macam tu, you go ahead. But I think it's going to be a tall order for your staff. If you want to take the approach of let us measure only in the final semester, saya takut apa? Saya takut dia punya development itu tak nampak. The development actually it comes through It only comes through 3 things. It comes through your cognitive skill dengan knowledge, understanding, and cognitive skills. Because 5 or 6 of your competencies are there. ESD competencies are there. And then you have your interpersonal skill. This is where your collaborative punya part. And then you have ethics and professionalism. So if you look carefully at knowledge, understanding, cognitive skills, interpersonal skill dengan ethics and professionalism, look carefully at all the courses going to these 4 PLOs, make selection from there. I think that would be a reasonable, a systematic approach to select which courses that you want to amend the CLOs so that it allows you to report the attainment of the sustainability competencies. One paragraph to answer all the part A, part B, part C question. Boleh ke?
Okay.
Tak ada
Dr.
tertinggal.
I think you have covered almost all the question just now. Mr. Dev, are you around?
Hi, Anna. Yes, I am.
Yeah. Okay.
Dev.
So, do you have further question?
Yes, I'm still not very clear because from Prof's explanation just now, I understand that we can go for, let's say, I take in system thinking, anticipatory thinking, and strategic thinking, and that's it. And I cover those 3 only for my entire program, and that's
No.
sufficient.
Tak. You kena cover semua 8. You kena cover strategic thinking, anticipatory thinking, critical thinking, integrated problems dengan apa lagi satu thinking dia ada? Integrated problem solving and critical thinking.
Okay.
So these 5 types of thinking ni, you got to map this to either knowledge and understanding dengan cognitive skill.
All right.
Okay. So you look at the courses which is supporting knowledge and understanding.
Understood.
Then you look at the courses, perhaps you find 5 of those courses, each of those courses, 1 strategic thinking, 1 anticipatory thinking, 1 integrated problem solving, 1 critical thinking. Nampak tak?
Okay, understood, Prof.
And then you look at which of the courses that is supporting your interpersonal skill.
Understood.
And then select 2 or 3 courses so that you boleh address apa? You boleh address collaborative, you boleh address normative.
All
And
right.
then select one that is on ethics and professionalism so that you can address apa satu lagi? Awareness.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is a selection of about a dozen courses will allow you to cover all the 8 sustainability competencies.
All
In
right.
a program, you must report all 8 competencies.
Okay. So if I understand you correctly, Prof, I basically need, if I integrate 8 ESDs into any of my 8 CLOs, and that is sufficient.
Yeah. And that's why I am suggesting that you pilih yang higher semesters, because at higher semester it is closer to the point of graduation.
Right. Okay, I understand that, Prof. So if, let's say, on a bare minimum, I just do
Bare minimum, you're right. On a bare minimum, yang itu cukup. Tapi takkanlah Unimas nak buat bare minimum.
betul. I just need to understand that first before I embark
Let
on
me
this
ask you this question.
Hmm.
Would you
Right.
travel long distance? Before you travel long distance, you get rid of your spare tire.
That doesn't make sense, Prof.
That doesn't make sense. So sama juga dengan you punya 8 competencies. You
Mhm.
buat minimum 8,
Hmm.
1 or 2 of your lecturers don't deliver.
I see.
Is there possibility of them not delivering, ada tak?
There is.
There is. So sebab tu kalau saya tak buat 8. Saya buat 16. For each competency, at least 2 courses.
Okay. Okay.
Ada spare tire lah kira. I come from engineering. We are being trained in whatever things that you do, you must have a factor of safety.
Okay. Okay. Understand that, Prof.
So can you change you punya bare minimum daripada 8 jadi 16, 2 of each. So that is bare minimum.
Okay. All right.
So you jangan pergi 8 ngam-ngam tu aja.
Okay.
Alright. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Prof.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Okay.
Saya ada soalan. Saya Hazrul dari
Salam.
FK.
Daripada mana?
Saya tertarik dengan apa yang Prof cakap tadi pasal pemakaian MQA terhadap program di Malaysia. Cuma saya tengah baca standard program kejuruteraan dan teknologi kejuruteraan yang dipublish oleh MQA, dan saya nampak pada page 15 dia kata, sekejap saya cek akreditasi bagi program 4 tahun ijazah sarjana muda kejuruteraan dilakukan bersama Majlis Akreditasi Kejuruteraan EAC. So kalau macam kes MQA ni, adakah program engineering masih memakai standard MQA ataupun macam mana?
Doktor, cuba doktor tengok standard tu tahun bila tu?
Sekejap Standard ni ditulis pada tahun yang saya download ni 2011.
Iyalah tu 2011. Masa tu saya Profesor Madya pun belum lagi.
Oh, okay.
Now, at that time when we developed the standard, hanya program engineering 4 tahun sahaja yang kena ikut EAC, kena ikut lembaga jurutera.
Okay.
Maknanya dia program 3 tahun, program diploma, semua ikut program standard MQA. Dan program masters dan PhD ikut program standard MQA. Tapi sekarang, kita dah ada Dublin Accord, kita dah ada Sydney Accord.
Betul.
Jadi semua undergraduate program tak boleh pakai dah program standard MQA. Dia kena pakai yang saya tunjuk tadi tu, yang saya tunjuk accreditation standard tu. EAC dengan ETAC punya accreditation standard. EAC, ETAC accreditation standard that is equivalent to MQA punya program standard for undergraduate. Untuk master's program, kita boleh rujuk pada standard MQA itu, program standard MQA, bersekali dengan SMDD, Standard for Masters and Doctoral Program. Sebab masa kita buat 2011 tu, SMDD tak wujud lagi, doktor.
Okay.
So now SMDD dah ada, dan standard 2011 itu tidak dikemaskini sehingga sekarang, dan dengan adanya ETAC manual dan EAC manual yang baru ni sekarang ni, saya telah mencadangkan pada pihak MQA untuk jumutkan saja standard for engineering and engineering technology. Tak tahulah dia orang nak jumut ke dia nak update, sebab saya tak nampak lagi relevan untuk update.
So dalam kata lain memang standard MQA ni masih terpakai untuk program engineering lah,
Dia
Prof?
terpakai hanya untuk postgraduate. Undergraduate dah tak boleh sebab undergraduate dia dah been overridden by Sydney and Sydney dengan Dublin Accord punya dokumen.
Okay.
Pegawai MQA ada di sini? Ada ke pegawai MQA?
Ada Prof.
Cik Saman, boleh tolong respon yang itu? Saya takut saya punya jawapan tadi apa? Tak betul.
Dia boleh saya ulang tak tadi soalan saya tak berapa ni.
Dr. Azrul tolong ulang balik.
Okay, soalan saya ialah saya baca standard apa tu kejuruteraan apa tu yang dipublish oleh MQA. Dalam standard tu dinyatakan apa tu untuk akreditasi program engineering 4 tahun di bawah bawah EAC. So soalan saya ialah manakala kita ada board yang memantau kita punya program, adakah program engineering yang 4 tahun memakai apa tu standard MQA? MQF 2.0.
Okey, kalau ikutkan yang mana yang dah ada badan profesional EAC dan ETEC memang akan kita channelkan dan direct dengan melalui JTC iaitu di bawah engineering board lah, EAC atau ETEC. Yang 4 tahun tu sebenarnya memang untuk yang undergrad lah macam Profesor Aimi mention tadi. So, tapi standard tu secara keseluruhan kita masih kekalkan sebab ada penggunaan untuk postgrad, keperluan dan juga di level sijil. Sebab yang kita tahu diploma pun dah beralih ke ETEC dan untuk undergrad level 6 memang akan follow manual EAC atau ETEC.
So
jadi,
yang ESD tu maksudnya kita tak perlu nak address ke macam mana?
kalau ikut dengan ada MQF 2.24 ni kena address alamat ni lah kan Prof Suhaimi. Kalau keperluan dia.
ESD tu sustainability competencies untuk program masters dan juga untuk saya terlupa tadi sijil yang 1 2 3
sijil pun ada.
Sijil tu kena sebab dia dalam statement MQF tu dia kata at any level of studies at any level of studies. Jadi sijil 1 2 3 Masters 6, Masters 7, PhD 8 tu kena masuk ESD punya tu sebab dia masih lagi di bawah jurisdiksi.
Bawah MQA.
Kalau 4, 5 dan 6 rasa saya dah tak perlu. Sebab 4, 5 dan 6 you punya requirement tu dah ikut requirement baru dah. Requirement yang apa dia panggil GAPC. Graduate Attribute and Professional Competencies 2021 tu dah take into consideration sustainability competencies.
Yes, ikutkan yang Engineering Alliance lah, betul ya betul.
Ya.
Okey.
So jadi saya silap tadi guna hanya untuk sijil 1 2 3 dan juga tahap 7 dan 8 masih guna lagi. Tahap 7 dan 8 dia kena dibaca bersama dengan SMDD.
Okey.
So bermaksud Prof, maksudnya untuk program undergraduate engineering mereka tak perlu address ESD ni lah.
Dia perlu address ESD sebab ESD itu ada dalam dia punya apa? GAPC.
Okay, alright. Okay, terima kasih.
Saya tambah soalan lagi. Manakala Prof cakap tadi kita perlu address yang ESD. So maksudnya yang model yang tu kita memang tertakluk pada fakulti lah. So ada kita nak guna culminating, dominating ataupun accumulating. So kalau kata kita nak buat yang model lain sikit lah. Contohnya kita nak adakan hanya coverage sahaja.
Coverage maksud dia macam mana?
Coverage tu maksudnya memang kita akan select beberapa CLO. Asalkan CLO tu kita cover semua yang komponen ESD.
Okey. Kita boleh select tapi selection itu dia mesti ada basis doktor. Dia mesti ada basis sebab bila kita tengok the test of any competency, the test of any skill set, dia biasanya the reporting of the attainment of the competency itu dia biasanya diambil pada bila? Biasanya diambil pada hujung pengajian.
Ya betul.
You tak boleh ambil kata semua 8 kompetensi semester 1. Sebab dia belum fully develop lagi ketika itu. Sebab tu kalau doktor ingat, saya punya slide tadi, saya kata apa? Saya kata, mana dia? Select tu, kan? Yang saya kata, kalau kita nak select tu, kita select courses. Kalau 3 tahun, kita pilih last 2 semester. Kalau 4 tahun, last 3 semesters. Supaya dia punya knowledge, dia punya tu dah cukup untuk kita measure kompetensi dia lah. Bukan sekadar awareness. Maknanya we can actually measure dia punya risk analysis, anticipatory thinking itu, kita dah boleh measure. Okay?
Okay, itu saja soalan saya. Terima kasih.
Okay.
Okay,
Hello.
thank you. Okay, next question.
Good evening. I'm Hui from Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences. Can I ask a question, Doctor?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I hear your talk with much interest, especially on the VBD now and the new SDG and all that to be incorporated into the curriculum, writing out or crafting out for the CLO and PLO and all that. My question is, because we all come from very diverse background and our field are all different, like for example, doctor is from engineering, but I'm from medicine. So when it comes to, for example, trying to make sense of all these thinking and all this normative thinking and all that you mentioned earlier, how do we know what are the competency for my field, for example? Like I think, like for doctor, engineering is how you come up with all those competencies, right? But like for us in medicine, for example, how do we decide and how do we, what is your advice, for us to know what are those competencies that to know whether we have already attained what we want from the particular component? I'm not sure you understand my question, Doctor.
Okay. Dr. Uy.
Yeah.
You remember this when I said that we have to bring in the competencies? Now, I said that for engineering, kita perlu fokus pada yang ini. You got to sit with your senior professors in your medical faculty and ask them, out of the 17, yang mana yang kita betul-betul address? In terms of you punya medicine, one is a technical one, the other one in terms of your community service. What do you address? Good health and well-being definitely ada dekat situ. Zero hunger, nutrition. Nampak tak? So you cannot look at zero hunger orang Afrika tu. You got to relate to why dia jadi macam tu, nutrition. So subject nutrition boleh address zero hunger.
Yes.
Nampak tak? So now out of this ni, you got to sit. What we did here was, dekat sini ni, I get hold of my senior professors and my senior lecturers to brainstorm. To brainstorm and say that how do we relate sustainable cities to communities ni to the causes, boleh tak? Production, boleh tak? Nampak tak? This sort of things. So when we say that, okay, kalau boleh ada kursus yang boleh address dia directly, I call this tier 1. So tier 1 must be decided by the people of the program. Itu satu. Itu satu. Satu lagi Dr. Uy, yang ini, the competencies ni, saya bagi you ada 8. So in my notes, it will go something like this. Ini je 8 dia. Nampak tak? Ini 8 dia kan?
Yes.
That 8, what you need to do is to read this document. This is just a summary of what is collaboration competency. In this document, they relate, elaborate more. When you read this, you elaborate more, then it will trigger something yang kita panggil cognitive flexibility itu. How do medical people, how do medicine apply to this?
Okay. So
when you
maybe
talk about community medicine, doctors tak boleh buat sendiri. You need collaboration, betul tak?
Yes.
In order to do collaboration, you kena ada normative thinking. You need to know the norms. Somebody from Klang Valley, dia pergi dekat interior of Sarawak, dia tak boleh guna dia punya norm dekat apa they got to understand the norms of the people dekat Sarawak tu macam mana, betul tak?
Okay. I get an idea of what you're trying to tell me. Thank you very much. So what I'm trying to say, another thing is that relating to this is that when it comes to, like, for example, all this, is there like a particular governing body that can come up with the competency, or is just decided by the university and the faculty, so that the faculty, for example, can decide what does it mean by collaboration competency, for example, or critical thinking competency, for example. Is it decided by the university or the faculty, and that's good enough, or has to be from a higher governing body like MMC?
Tak ada. At present, MQA did not put this in, and I don't think any of the professional bodies buat benda ni lagi. So until MMC comes up with say that this is how we define sustainability competencies, then you have the autonomy to apa? The university have the autonomy, but the process of determining must be systematic. It must be collective agreement, and it must get proper apa orang kata. It cannot be you buat you punya sendiri, orang lain buat dia punya sendiri, tak boleh. Malaysia buat dia punya sendiri, tak boleh. It has to be in a committee, and then it has to be shared throughout the faculty, and everybody adopt that. So that bila panel datang, I am the panel when I come to faculty medicine dekat apa UNIMAS, then I'll be able to see, okay, this is what you adopt. And then I go to the individual lecturers and I see that all individual lecturers are embracing that. That is fine. Tapi kalau I go to individual lecturers, dia ni buat A, dia ni buat B, dia ni buat C, kacau.
Okay, thank you very much for
You
your
dekan
answers.
ke? Are you the dekan?
No, I'm just a lecturer. Thank you very much.
Oi, hebat lah tu kalau lecturer.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Thank you, Dr. Hazrul, Dr. Uy, and Mr. Dev. So there are also few questions in the chat box. I think few of them have been clarified by Prof just now. So one of the questions by Associate Professor Dr. Daniel is, one program has to cover all ESD, or partially not all is also sufficient. So I think one program has to cover all, right, Prof?
Oh yeah, all the 8. Yep.
Yes, okay. And then the next question also, I think, have been rectified just now. So Dr. Siti Quidney from FK also asked, Prof, how about Faculty of Engineering? Do we need to follow MQA too? I think that is also answered just now. Prof, you want to elaborate more?
Dah jawab dah tadi dengan
Okay.
siapa nama tadi tu, Dr. Hafizul ke? Siapa
Dr.
tadi?
Hazrul.
Hazrul lah. Dr. Hazrul
betul.
tadi. I think I've answered that.
Okay, and then the next question also the same for undergrad engineering, still need follow MQA standard for ESD? Yes, the answer. And then next question is, can one course cover more than one ESD element?
Boleh.
Boleh.
You see, in one course, based on the program learning outcome yang dia supportkan, let's take one course, and this course is supporting cognitive skill, and that course has got 3 learning outcome, and the 3 learning outcome, one can be systematic thinking, one can be anticipative thinking, one can be critical thinking. So because they are all supporting cognitive skills, they are all sub-attribute of cognitive skills.
Okay. All right. So I hope that is clear for Dr. Wong SK. Okay, so another question from Dr. Nordiana is that kesimpulannya untuk prasiswaza level 6 MQA kejuruteraan hanya perlu comply kepada EAC standard 2024?
Yeah, if you follow EAC standard 2024, there is a requirement of their punya sustainability competencies. But EAC did not specify how you want to do the sustainability competencies. So they have not, EAC have not come up with a specific standard saying that you must follow ESD. So it is up to you to follow any sustainability punya principles to show that your students have that saya tak ingat lah dia punya yang 11 yang baru tu, siapa from engineering ada siapa boleh tolong saya yang sustainability dia number berapa?
PO2, 3 dan 6.
PO 2, 3 dan 6 itu satu. Lagi satu dalam EAC ni dia ada apa? Complex engineering problem dengan complex activities kan?
Yes, betul.
So dalam situ tu yang kita nampak you have to bring in this element of sustainability sekaligus dekat situ. So the approach taken by lembaga jurutera is to bring sustainability in through complex activities dengan complex engineering problem.
Yes.
Tapi
Dan Prof,
MQA dia tak take that approach.
Actually apa saya nampak, EAC standard dengan MQF 2.0, they're quite analogous. That's why we are asking whether this MQF 2.0 is applicable or not lah. That's our concern lah sebenarnya.
Dia sekarang ni, MQF dia payung dekat atas. EAC tu, kalau saya tengok EAC standard yang 2024 kan, 2024 yang EAC dengan ETEC punya standard tu, they are already aligned dengan MQF 2024. Cuma how they do it is different. They take the approach of integrating the subjects. Dalam integration itu dia ada sustainability. Dia buat through complex activities dengan complex engineering problem.
Okay. I think that's answered the question. So another question from Dr. Wong. In other words, one course can cover more than one ESD element. Am I right to say that one CLO can only cover one ESD element, but not more than one ESD element?
I will answer this carefully. I will not say yes or no. If you know how to do it and you are confident of doing it, then you can have two ESD element in one CLO. So bila saya kata satu, kalau tak reti, saya akan kata, if you don't know how to do it, keep it to one. Saya takut nak cakap macam tu. Bila saya cakap macam tu, panel selalu kata, then they will hold to my words and they will say that, why you have more than one? To me, if you do not know how to do it, okay, keep it one ESD competency in one CLO. But if you know how to do it, especially you are dealing with courses in the higher semesters or in the graduating semesters, it is possible to have two ESD competencies. For example, you are talking about strategic and anticipatory thinking together. Because when you look at your strategic punya plan, you must also work out what are the risks with the plan. So these two can go together. You can go together provided you know how to do it and you know how to develop the problem and you know how to develop the learning activities. Boleh. Nampak tak? So I will not say yes definite, I will not say no definite. Kalau you reti buat and you know how to do it, you can incorporate. You can actually incorporate two. Macam apa orang kata, collaboration dengan awareness. Collaboration dengan apa? Collaboration dengan mana dia satu lagi? Normative. Collaboration and normative can come together. You collaborate with people of different culture, different language, different religion. You need to know their norms. So they can come together. If you know how to do it and you can create the scenario, a problem so that they can demonstrate dua-dua tu and you can allocate marks for the two. Then you can do it. Nampak tak?
Okay. I hope that answered Dr. Wong's questions. We have
Prof, saya ada soalan. Kak Hirah nak bertanya, kalau kita lihat kepada jawapan penerangan Prof tadi, kompetensi ESD ni boleh contohlah kalau nak ambil daripada yang cognitive skill, okay, kita boleh address pelbagai ESD kompetensi. Adakah bermaksud tidak semua ESD ni tak perlu cover ke semua PLO?
Tak perlu.
Tak perlu
Tak
okey.
perlu. Sebab dia sub attribute, doktor.
Okey.
Sebab kita treat dia, sebab ini konsep yang saya bawa ni, kita treat dia sebagai sub attribute. Tapi kalau ada universiti yang dia merasakan yang 8 tu mungkin 2 daripada dia nak jadi main attribute, dia nak jadi PLO dia. Itu lain cerita.
Tak. Saya tak nak mengubah PLO tu lah. Maksudnya cuma mana-mana khusus yang diadres kepada, maksudnya
Macam saya katakan
khusus.
tadi, Doktor, kalau kita buat secara sistematik kan, saya dah boleh nampak dah. Knowledge dengan cognitive skill, dua ni, dia boleh ambil 5 type of thinking itu.
Oh, so maksudnya yang numeracy, yang practical tak perlu cover pun.
Cognitive skill tu dah, dia sebenarnya numeracy tu kan dia dalam apa orang kata, dia dalam subset of cognitive skill kan. So boleh masuk sekaligus dekat situ.
Kalau nak lah Prof.
Kalau nak.
Okey.
Dia boleh, Doktor tengok balik yang kat sini, Doktor. Sekejap Allahu Akbar. Doktor tengok balik dekat sini.
Itulah maksud saya kalau kita lihat.
Dia boleh padankan begitu. Dan saya tidak katakan setiap satu ini mesti dipadankan dengan yang ini.
Okey.
Saya katakan apa yang saya tunjukkan itu adalah contoh.
Okey, kalaulah kita tengok kalau contohlah Prof, knowledge cognitive practical numeracy, dia boleh di-assess maksudnya sesuai kepada 5 SDG competency inilah daripada systematic sampai integrated. Cuma kalau 5 SDG competency ni saya just nak cover dalam knowledge dengan cognitive skill tu boleh je kan? Maksudnya dalam
boleh je.
Okey, alright, terima kasih.
Okay, so we have another questions in the chat box from Dr. Saraswati, nursing. So hi Prof, I think for collaboration competency, can we use interprofessional educations and collaborative practices competency for self-awareness competency? Can we use...
Apa dia tu ulang balik?
Dia cakap, I think for collaboration competency, can we use interprofessional education?
Interprofessional education tu saya tak tahu apa dia.
Dr. Saras, would you like to clarify?
Hi, Prof. Good evening, good afternoon. Yeah, I'm Saras. Yeah. Prof, interprofessional education is exactly, I think, what you are trying to say between disciplines. Like nursing kan, kita ada medical, kita ada pharmacy, kita ada others. So they work collaboratively lah. They have co-competencies. But the way you have explained looks like this one can fit in there. The other question is, I'm talking about, we do have reflective writing in nursing. So can we use that lah for the other competency?
Okay, yang tadi yang you kata tadi apa interprofessional tu, so I take it that is working in a multidisciplinary team.
Yes, yes.
Okay, working in a multidisciplinary team, dia punya payung dia is interpersonal skill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's basically you take interpersonal skill, lepas tu yang interpersonal skill kita dekat sini kan, kita nak cantum dia dengan collaborative competency. Because they have to work together, betul Doktor?
Yes.
So that is where you come up with the short write-up, your expectation of interpersonal skill plus collaboration, what do you expect them to be able to do?
Yeah.
Okay? Lepas tu lagi satu tu yang you punya reflective thinking itu you boleh ambil apa orang kata, your personal skills dengan self-awareness competency.
Yeah, because we do a lot of this, Prof, in nursing when students go and see real case scenarios in the ward. So certain subjects we use reflective writing and example, we give them around 20%. So they use Gibbs cycle to come and explain what have they seen, what is their experience, what is a good thing about this experience, what is the bad things, what is the lesson they learn. So they reflect, especially in the wards, you see. So looks like untuk yang ini, because I was thinking self-awareness competency ini reflect on their own values, perceptions kan, we can do as our assignment, right?
Cuma Doktor, yang tadi kan you sebut apa benda-benda dia reflect tu, what have they learned?
Yeah.
What have they learned? Kalau boleh tambah satu lagi Doktor, you make it conscious effort sekarang untuk tambah kat situ, what would you have done differently? Yang itu yang dia punya impact that they have learned now, moving forward, this is what I will do now.
Yeah, Gibbs cycle memang what could have been done differently. How to correct the situation. Yes, correct, Prof. We do include that. Yes.
Kena masuk yang itu. Sebab itulah sebenarnya the gist of the learning experience.
Yeah.
The learning experience is basically Dulu you tak tahu itu, sekarang you tahu. Dulu you tak buat macam tu, sekarang you buat macam tu. What is it that you do differently now? So
Okay.
that is basically the definition of learning experience.
Yeah.
So baguslah kalau you gunakan instrumen itu untuk measure self-awareness. That will be good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Saras.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, probably one last question in the chat box, Prof.
Yeah.
The highlighted ESD must be reflects in either teaching activity or assessment only.
The way that we're talking about is we are putting this into the CLO, am I right?
Right.
Once you put in the CLO, it goes without saying that the teaching activities must be in line with the CLO.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes without saying that the
Yes.
assessment must be based on the CLO.
Which is constructive alignment,
Yeah,
right, Prof?
constructive alignment, betul.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think any one last question from the floor?
Hi, Prof. I'm Shalene from Nursing Department. And
Yeah.
with regard to the question just now, we would like to know whether there.
I can't hear you, Shalene.
Shalene, you are offline. Shalene, can you?
Yeah.
Okay, can you repeat your question again?
With regards to we need to I mean, is there any guidelines, okay, with regards to the teaching and learning activities, the specific activities, as well as the assessment strategies and the rubrics with regards to these ESD competencies, since we are going to run the teaching learning activities as well as the assessments? Is there any specific guidelines with regards to the terms that we should use or the teaching learning activities, as well as the rubrics specific to these ESD competencies?
Dia tidak ada, there is no specific guideline, but in terms of rubric, you look at the attributes and sub-attributes, dia ada apa panduan ICG, you remember ICGPA tak?
Yes, I still remember
Dia
that.
ada buku rubrik ICGPA tu kan, edisi Malay. Are you aware of that? Buku panduan rubrik ICGPA?
Yes, I'm aware of that guidebook.
So yang itu boleh guna untuk kita nak tengok, nak develop rubrik. So you look through that. Under interpersonal skill, there are many sub attributes, and perhaps some of those dia ngam dengan kita punya ESD competency. Under cognitive skill pun dia ada sub attribute, doktor. So itu satu boleh guna. In terms of assessment, you boleh tengok buku Sharifah Ruzaina.
Ya, Prof. Saya ada.
Buku novel tu apa? Tolong, Prof.
Nak kongsikan ke apa?
Tak. Terangkan buku tu apa? Kalau tak silap saya, dia bagi penekanan untuk
Betul.
setiap apa PLO tu, untuk setiap skill set itu, the course assessment plan dia macam mana.
Ya, setuju. Ya. Kalau yang buku yang dihasilkan oleh Noble itu adalah an extension of ataupun further deliberation on the 11 PLO itu, Prof. Dan juga ada dikongsikan attribute dan bagaimana kita ingin membangunkan rubrik from the attribute given di dalam buku tersebut.
Yeah. So ada dua buku lah, apa nama ni Shalene, yang you boleh rujuk. Satu ICGPA punya rubrik tu, satu lagi buku novel tu. Nama buku tu Prof Sharifah, saya terlupa nama buku tu. Saya cuma ingat novel aja.
Okey, nanti saya letakkan dalam chat, Prof. Panjang
Boleh.
tu. Okey, sekejap lagi
nanti Prof Sharifah tolong letakkan dalam chat, bolehlah you all download daripada situ ya. Shalene, is that okay?
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Prof.
Okay.
Okay, I think we have passed 11 after 4. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank Prof Suhaimi for the very insightful and informative sharing today. Okay, and also for all the MQF panels who are also present with us today. And with that, I think we will end the session. Dr. Tahira, do we have to take photo?
Yes, please.
Okay, so can everyone switch on your camera? Okay. Let me do page by page. Hold on, give me a second. Okay. Hold on, ah. Okay. Okay, I will take the first photo. Okay. Okay, next one. 1, 2, 3. There are so many participants. Give me some time. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more page. 1, 2, 3. Okay, with that, I thank you for all your participation and hope to see you all again soon. Thank you so much.
Ana,
Yes,
would it be too much trouble tak kalau the questions in the chat box tu you copy and paste and then send to me?
right. Sure, Prof. Sure, I
Because
will do that.
the questions tu nanti saya akan apa? I will improve my presentation material based on the question.
Okay,
Because
sure,
this is
Prof.
the first time I'm using the material, so there is a lot of questions, nampak tak? Because I
Right.
do not know what is in the mind of the participants. So kalau you boleh share dengan saya, nanti saya akan upgrade saya punya nota tu so that apa it becomes clearer lah. I
Sure.
would then be able to anticipate the question already.
Right. Okay,
Boleh?
sure, Prof. I will do
Nanti
that for you and
email
email.
kat saya lah.
Right.
Tanya apa Dr. Tahira dia ada
Sure.
submit.
Okay, sure, Prof. Sure.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you
so
very
much,
much
Prof.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, terima
We
kasih,
will
Prof.
we will
Yeah.
share the QR code again. Anyone yang belum QR boleh QR.
Okay, saya minta diri dulu
Ya,
ya.
terima
Okay, terima
kasih.
kasih.
Okay, bye.
Terima kasih.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.